welcome to this yoga practice for your lower back. We're going to start off in a seated position. You could sit on a chair, excuse me, if you're not comfortable sitting on the ground like this. So grab a chair if you'd like one. We're going to start off with some breathing practice. And we're going to use our hands to give us some feedback about where our breath is going or what's moving when we breathe in. So let's start with both of our hands on the front of our lower rib cage. And think about lining up your head over your chest and your chest over your hips. And then when we're here, you're going to breathe in through your nose, down deep into the belly, and feel the ribs expand forward into your hands. As you breathe out, notice that front of the rib cage recoil and soften back. Take 2 more breaths like this, breathing in through the nose, down deep into the belly. Feel the belly and the ribs expand into your hands, and as you breathe out, notice it soften. Last one. And then take your hands and move them to the sides of your rib cage if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, you can stay with the hands on the front too. You're going to breathe in through your nose, down deep into the belly. And this time, notice that ribs expand out to the side. And again, you'll feel them expand into your hands. And as you breathe out, notice the rib cage soften and recoil back. 2 more breaths like this. You might also notice that there isn't much movement on one side of your rib cage. And that can be due to tight muscles sometimes, which can actually link into a little bit of lower back pain. And lastly, we're going to bring our hands around to the back of the rib cage. And this is what we're going to focus on during this practice quite a bit. So you can stay where you are. I'm just going to turn so you can see. Hands on the back of the rib cage. If this position with your hands isn't comfortable, you can have the back of the hand into the rib cage. Going to breathe in through your nose and think about breathing down deep into the back of your lungs. And as you breathe out, notice the rib cage soften and relax back. You'll feel less movement here than the front. But we want to get the back of the rib cage working because a lot of our lower back muscles attach into the back of the rib cage. And if it's stuck and stiff, that area can get tight and sore. We'll practice plenty more during this yoga session. We're going to start off with a little seated cat-cow. So we're going to get you moving now. You can stay seated in your chair if you have one. Round your whole spine, chin tucked. And as you inhale, lift your breastbone, lift your chest, and lift your head. Pressing your chest forward, arching your back. And then as you breathe out, we're going to bring the chin to our chest. That breastbone moves back into the chest, and we're rounding our spine. Going to go for 3 more in sync with your breath. Inhale to lift the head and the chest, shoulders pull back. And then exhale, tuck the chin and round the spine. Your hands are moving in sync as well. So as you inhale and lift your head and chest, the hands slide back towards your hips. And as you exhale, chin to the chest, round the spine. Last one. And just notice how your spine feels with this gentle movement. So if it's a little stiff, be nice and gentle to it. Small range of movement to start. And then we're going to come on to right hand on the ground. Reach your left hand overhead first. And then reach it up and over to the right. And then when we're here, we want to bring the stretch into the back of our body a little bit more. So you're going to reach that hand slightly forward. And then we're going to focus on breathing into the back of the rib cage. So if you want, and if you can balance, you can take that right hand, place it around behind you onto the back of the rib cage on that left side. And as you inhale, think about breathing down deep into the back of that left lung. And as you breathe out, let that area soften and relax. And 2 more breaths here. So you reach it over to the side with every breath in. Last one. Then bring that left hand down. Bring the right hand straight up to the ceiling first. Reach it up as high as you can to create length on that right side. And then reach it over to the left. To bring the stretch a little bit more into the back of the body, reach the hands slightly forward. And then when you're in that stretch, you feel it on that right side of the back. You can take your left hand if you want and place it on the back of your rib cage on the right. And you're taking a nice deep breath into the right side. And 2 more breaths here. Have your hand on the ground if you need for support or on your chair. And then coming on to all fours. So get your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Another cat-cow. As you inhale, lift your tailbone, let your belly drop and lift your head. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone and round the spine up towards the ceiling, the head drops. And you're going to go for 3 more. See if you can do them in sync with your breath. So whichever way it feels good for you to breathe, I'm inhaling as I lift my head and tail and let my belly drop. And I'm exhaling as I round the spine up to the ceiling. But if it feels better for you the other way, just do it the other way. And then from here, we're going to take our right leg and we're going to put the right foot where our right hand is. So you might do this in one fast movement, or it might take you 3 or 4, and that's fine as well. Plant the right foot, make sure your knees over your heel like a pillar, and then bring your upper body over your hips, so shoulders over hips. From here, tuck the tailbone, bring the hands to the back of the rib cage. You should start to feel a stretch in the front of your left hip. And we're going to bring the hands to the back, take a nice deep breath into the back of the rib cage. And as you breathe out, notice that area soften. And see if we can just notice a little bit of movement in the back of the rib cage as we breathe in. Then take that left hand, keep that breathing going, reach it up towards the ceiling and slightly over to the right. If you want to increase or get a little bit more stretch, think about your breastbone and think about it turning up to the top left corner of the room. Like if there was a light on your breastbone, you're going to shine it up to the top left corner. 2 more breaths here, feeling the stretch into the front of the right hip area. You can pull that left thumb back if that feels comfortable on your shoulder. And then bringing the hands down to the ground, planting the palms, bringing that right leg back and coming forward into a modified plank. So your knees are down. Draw the shoulders away from the ears and think about your lower ribs hugging in towards your tummy to support your back. And then when we're here, nice long spine, we're going to tuck the elbows in and think about bending slowly at the elbows to lower down. Flatten the feet, slide the arms forward so you're propped up on your forearms in a Sphinx pose. And you're here for 2 or 3 breaths. Allowing your lower back just to rest and relax into the mat. And bring the hands under your shoulders, press back up onto all fours. We're going to go back through our cat-cow. So inhale as you lift the head and the tail, the belly drops. And exhale as you round the spine up towards the ceiling, tucking your tail, dropping your head. 2 more in sync with your breath. And then we're going to bring that left foot forward and place it where the left hand is. Let's stack our shoulders over our hips, place our hands at the back of our rib cage again, and tuck our tailbone or tuck our bum slightly until we feel a stretch in the front of the right hip. And then you're going to breathe in through your nose, down deep into the back of the rib cage, and then out through your nose or mouth. And then we're going to add into that hip flexor stretch. So reach your right hand up towards the ceiling. First of all, left hand goes on your left leg to support you. And then you're going to reach that hand over to the right slightly. If it's comfortable, pull the right thumb back to get a little bit more of a stretch through that whole side body. And then optional, imagine there's a little light shining out of your breastbone. And can you turn it up to the top right corner of the room? And you're here for 3 more breaths. If your arm needs a rest, you can rest it on your head. And then bringing that hand back down, bringing the left leg back and moving forward. So pushing the bum forward, weight over those wrists, shoulders away from the ears. So we're all in our modified plank. Hug the front ribs in so that your abs turn on and your back is supported. And then tuck the elbows in real close to your side and bend them straight back as you lower down. Slide the hands forward. Inhale as you lift up into your Sphinx pose. And then pressing back into all fours, we're going to make our way up to the top of the mat. So whatever way is comfortable for you. And then from here, keep a real nice bend in your knees, press your hands to your shin and just lift halfway. And as you exhale, fold forward, keeping the knees bent still, and then come all the way up into standing. Inhale as you reach your arms overhead, take a hold of the left wrist, reach up and over to the right. Take a hold of the right wrist, reach up and over to the left. Bring your hands down by your side, put all the weight into your right foot and step the left foot back as if it's going back on some train tracks. Get your shoulders over your hips. Take 2 nice breaths into the back of the rib cage. And then reach your arms overhead. Should feel the leg muscles working a little bit and our back should be nice and relaxed because it's supported by our nice strong legs. From here, bring your hands to your hips. We're going to stick our tailbone out a little bit. Think about the hips being pulled back behind us and we're going to lean forward from the hips. Just until you feel a little bit of work in your butt and your hamstring muscles. You shouldn't feel any pain around the side of your hip or any joints. And we're here for 2 or 3 breaths and you're going as far as you are comfortable. So your trunk might be parallel to the floor or it might be up quite a bit higher, whatever works for you. Breathing into the back of the rib cage. And then step both feet forward to the front of the mat. Inhale as you reach your arms overhead. Take a hold of the left wrist. Reach up and over to the right. Take a hold of the right wrist. Reach up and over to the left. All the weight goes into your left foot now. Step the right foot back as if it's sliding along a train track to go back. You can have the option of staying up in this high lunge position or lowering down to the low lunge. Bring your hands around to the back of the rib cage. Take 2 or 3 breaths here. And then reach the arms overhead, palms facing forward, shoulders away from the ears. Bringing the hands to the hips. If you're in your low lunge, come back up into your high lunge. Hands are on the hips. You've got the tailbone sticking out slightly, so you have a little bit of a curve in your lower back. You're going to fold at the hips. Think about that, especially that left hip of the front leg being pulled back. You should feel a little bit of tension in your bum muscles or in the back of your thigh. I don't want you feeling anything on the outer hip. And then you're here for 2 or 3 breaths. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose or mouth. Letting the muscles in the leg work to support you, keeping your back nice and neutral, loads of length through the spine. And then step both feet to the front of the mat. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Take a hold of the left arm, stretch over to the right. Take a hold of the right arm, stretch over to the left. Soften the knees, folding forward, bringing our hands to the ground and bringing our knees back to the ground. You're going to have your knees nice and wide on the mat, big toes together, and sit the bum back onto the heels. And then from here, you're going to come forward into your child's pose. If you're really tight, stack your hands, make a little fist, stack your hands, and just rest your head on your fists. If you feel like you've got a nice bit of movement and it feels good, you can come all the way down onto flat hands, or you can reach the hands out in front of you. And you're here for 3 nice big breaths down deep into the back of the rib cage. So breathing in through your nose, down deep into the back of the rib cage, and then breathing out through the nose or mouth. 2 more breaths here. Walk the hands back. And you are all finished your practice, your yoga session for your lower back pain.